Welcome to the Yaoi Shelf.
You are surrounded by solutions, and you choose none of them, and then you complain about the solutions provided. You are the worst uke I've ever had. So you want to talk about gay shit now?
Yeah, let's talk about gay shit. Welcome to the Yaoi Shelf. Pull up a seat and relax. Is that what it
It's
says?
literally the second line of the outline.
Grab a seat and relax. Okay, I'm gonna do it again. Welcome to the Yaoi Shelf. Grab a seat and relax.
I write it in the outline because if I don't,
I
it's
mean, I
different
have the outline pulled up. And
it's
I
different
looked at
every
it, but then
episode if I don't
forgot.
write it in the...
I immediately forgot. I'm a goldfish.
But, like, not in any of the ways that are entertaining or fun to me. Because if I watch a goldfish flail, it doesn't hurt my day. Watching you flail after I've been at work for 8 hours is not entertaining or fun. What are we talking about today? Oh, no, we have to introduce ourselves.
We have to introduce ourselves. Oh, it's on the outline, Amanda.
You shut your whore mouth. You don't get to tell me what is on my outline. You will not outline shame me after I have provided you with 40 minutes of free therapy for me to walk in 15 minutes before curtain and you're typing in this outline? Like I wouldn't notice somehow that 15 minutes before curtain.
The fact that you sent the message through docs and I didn't realize that was a thing that could be done.
Yeah.
I was like, what? There's a message?
And it's me shaming you. This bitch. 15 minutes. You don't get to fucking outline shame me. Introduce yourself, you fucking hoe.
Hi, my name is Aisha, aka MommaLuvsManga.
My name is Amanda, also known as AichiYume. I'm incredibly tired. Now we can say what the fuck we're talking about. God damn it.
So, we are talking about webcomics.
Yeah, specifically the gay ones, the BL ones, because realistically there are webcomics of a lot of different things, but we're focusing on boys' love, because that's in theory what this podcast is about.
Right. I mean,
we certainly do try.
Every now and then we mention some BL, some yaoi.
I'm usually desperately trying to get the horse back on the field, and it's like, nope, never mind. Let's just.
I mean, fair.
But I'm excited for this episode, particularly because, if anything, in this instance, your host, you kind of get to come at this from two different approaches. And strangely enough, I guess I represent the West in this scenario, where I've really carved out a bit of a niche with really liking a lot of Western and American webcomics, while Aisha approaches this more from the East. So you have a Western approach and an Eastern approach with this. So Aisha will be covering your manhwas and...
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, it's mostly just manhwa.
Yeah, just I can't even think of any...
I mean, I feel like there has to be webcomics from Eastern creators that aren't just manhwa.
That aren't Korean, yeah.
But somehow also somehow aren't doujins. We'll get into that later.
Yeah.
Because there is a certain point of webcomics that it is a little bit semanticsy of like what is a webcomic versus what is like a digital graphic novel, which is something that I saw. It's like, oh, it's a digital graphic novel. It's like, you mean a comic?
This fandom gets so weird. Like, sometimes I really feel like I don't belong here because I'm just like, why are y'all so just picky about everything. Just enjoy stuff. Oh my God.
Just enjoy things.
Just enjoy things.
I think that's how, like, I knew that I was getting old in fandom, was when I reached that point of just, like, just enjoy things, God.
Like, just enjoy stuff and shut up. Oh my God.
But honestly, a lot of that's artists, though. Like, that isn't usually the fandom. That's, like, the artist. Like, oh, no, this isn't a webcomic. This is a semi-immersive digital experience. It's like, okay, sure.
That's also, you know what? Just in case somebody watches us that has something like that, I'm not going to say what I was going to say.
Well, okay, but, like, let it be a real semi-immersive digital experience. And, like, if your webcomic glitches once, that's not a semi-immersive digital experience. If you found the glitch effect once on Photoshop, a semi-realistic interactive digital experience you have not created. You've made an animatic, which is very nice and something that I could not do. But a semi-interactive experience you have not made.
Right. I just find it all so
hilarious,
pretentious in a way, because it's like, really just do the thing that you love, or just read the thing that you love, and don't argue about, but this is this. And
we might be jumping the gun a little bit with this, but I think a lot of that pretension comes with the fact that I do think that a lot of webcomic artists do feel a little bit inherently like they're stepchildren, even though really they're not. Like, it's a box that a lot of them put themselves in, because, and this is coming from an outsider's perspective, I don't think that anyone inherently looks down on them the way that they think. So. Well, okay, I have to be careful with how I say this. The professional ones, no one's looking down on them.
Oh, okay.
Now, like, the fan ones, which, not to say that fans can't be good, but when I say fan webcomic, I'm pretty sure you know exactly what comes to mind.
I do, yeah.
And I do not mean the good ones.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Now, those people feel like they're maligned. In real talk, they probably are maligned for a reason.
They probably are. Listen.
They're probably maligned for a reason.
They probably are. And they, like,
I don't want to get in trouble with that.
It's subjective. It's subjective. What I...
No.
I'm trying
no,
to
it's
be
not.
Diplomatic.
Stop. Can I say something? Everyone's like, art is subjective. That is not true. That is absolutely not true.
Okay. There are definitely things that are not subjective within art. Absolutely.
Yes.
But I think enjoyment is subjective. And so I try not to be like...
For better or worse, yes.
Right. Because there are some things that, honestly, like, technically are trash. Like, when you go by the things that are not subjective, this is not good. But somebody might enjoy that. Somebody might like that not good thing.
In all fairness, to quote John Waters, to have bad taste, you must have incredibly good taste.
Because you can discern when things are bad.
I just quoted John Waters, and I'm not even drunk. So we're here to talk about webcomics. Let's start with the definition. What is a webcomic? Well, look at the words.
You just wanted a reason to be shady. You wanted an excuse.
And you didn't stop me.
I sure did not. Well, also, I didn't read the outline.
Also, you didn't read the fucking outline, so you couldn't have stopped me even if you wanted to.
So I didn't even know you were going to say that.
But yeah, it's a comic on the web. There you go. Use your syntax clues. What were you expecting?
Honestly, I would have been shocked if you hadn't have been.
Thank you.
I would have been shocked.
So let's see. Why webcomic? We actually talked about this a fair amount in our piracy episode, which is still our least listened to episode.
Which is so interesting.
And like, I don't even say that for clout. Like, I'm just fascinated that, like, that's the one that everyone decided that they don't like.
But you know what, though?
Yes.
I kind of think I understand it, because I do think that piracy is such a
polarizing topic.
Yes, that people might be avoiding it. They may be afraid to hear what we have to say, but I do think that people should listen to that one. Personally, I like to have nuanced conversations. And
same.
I really liked that conversation that we had because it gave me, especially because everyone knows that I'm very much like, I'm not a pirate, but I also am not a jerk.
You're also not in an echo chamber, and you can understand empathy and socioeconomic factors that would lead to piracy.
Exactly.
Back to the topic. So why webcomic? This actually circumvents a lot of the issues that we talked about in episode 3 with piracy, where not everything is unilaterally published, not everything is unilaterally liked, not everything can pick up a contract or anything like that. So fuck it. Buy a domain and print your own shit.
Right. Yes.
And I kind of love that. I've always said that I have a love-hate relationship with how the internet has become very egalitarian for things. But this is one of the places where I love it, because if you have the ability to and the dream, you will find an audience. So a lot of those issues that we discussed with piracy, where, you know, companies aren't picking people up, they're very selective, some of them are very cliquey, some of them are fucking racist and misogynistic, or we have monopolies again, which this will date this episode, but as of right now, Sony is trying to buy Crunchyroll.
Yeah, I saw that.
Which will create another monopoly, which means less variety and less competition and less incentive to innovate, which is bad for everyone.
Right.
You say fuck it and you do it yourself. So that is essentially sort of why you webcomic, and especially here in the West, some of the issues that we mentioned in episodes 1 and 2 were a lot of people who get hung up on yaoi being bad representation, which, to address, it is bad representation, but like also, why are you looking for, that was episode 1 and 2.
We've already said that, yeah.
We said it a million times. But, like, if you're looking for better representation, I think webcomics, especially the Western ones, are better at that. Now, I'm not speaking from perspective of the East with manhwa, but I'm probably going to go ahead and infer that those might not be the best when it comes to... I mean, if you're of color and American, why are you looking for representation in this stuff?
Right. I was going to say, I think that at least the one that I'm going to mention, I feel pretty confident in saying that it seems like a pretty good representation of
Korean men.
Of Korea, yes.
Okay.
Like, yes, not like if you are black and queer, American, or any just black in general, wherever you're not gonna find well, okay, that's not fair. I shouldn't say that, because you might identify with something that they're going through.
Yeah, okay.
But it's not going to.
So we'll break that down a little bit.
Yeah.
I hope that you find representation, because to me, representation is more than just having characters that look exactly like me. So I find representation actually very easily in narratives, because it's about empathy rather than look.
Right. And you can have similar experiences to someone who looks nothing like you, lives somewhere else, you know, which is why even though I am a black queer woman, I can still read manga, and I don't always identify with everything, because sometimes I just like to read stuff that has nothing to do with me or my life. But sometimes I can identify with a certain situation, or, you know, and I think that's with anything. I think white people haven't learned how to do that, because they've always been used to seeing themselves represented in media. Ooh, was I not supposed to say that?
No, please say it louder.
Because I've always found it interesting how, like, I've always been able to read things with white protagonists and still identify with it and still relate to that character, but white people can't pick up black books or books with black characters and relate to it, because they're like, oh, well, they're black, I wouldn't know.
Well, I will devil's advocate that just a little bit. The way most black narratives are written, no one could relate to those. Okay. Not even black people.
I will give you that.
Think about a Tyler Perry movie. No one can relate to that.
And we've
talked about that.
Disdain.
Yeah. So in all fairness, white
okay.
people, I'm going to give you one pass and one pass alone.
That's it.
If you're saying y'all need to empathize with black people or find representation in their narratives, all of them are old Negro slave songs, and I can't relate to that shit. So
true. That's fair.
Okay. Y'all get one pass and that's it. Print this out or whatever. This is your one-time pass. Because
if I leave this in, because I mean, to be fair, that was a tangent. So,
because in all fairness, most black people can't relate to the black shows and black stories on television.
Listen.
But if you are having some of that angst with bad representation, a lot of Western creators are doing a much better job at that, in my opinion. Because even though it is still a pretty female-dominated world, much like mangaka in Japan and for manhwa artists in Korea, it's still very, very female-dominated. They're usually queer, female-representing, or even trans masks sometimes. So they're coming at this from a completely different standpoint of actually being in the family rather than, you know, cis-het women who just want to watch boys go kissy-kissy.
Fair. And I will say that we also have to remember when it comes to representation, and I think you and I have kind of had this conversation where I did mention that I felt like you write what you know, and you did explain to me like why that's not fully true, but I do think that, and I understood and I agree, but I will say that you can't expect a person to you can't expect one person who has only had certain experiences, even if they've researched others, to fully get your individual unique experience.
Well,
because
that's we're all individuals.
Yeah, we're all individuals. So it's like if you really want to see yourself represented, fully represented, maybe just write your own story, because no one else is ever going to really represent you. You might find aspects like go ahead.
So I get where you're going. I do still disagree with you a little bit. I think so when I'm saying like representation and like Western creators are better at it, think about the way that a lot of boys love deals with like trans characters if they have them.
Right.
It's usually not done very well. Let's just be fair.
Not at all.
Not at all. But if you have an actual trans writer, they're going to write it better. And they're going to write it
with more empathy.
Well, I'm not even going to say empathy. They're just going to do it better.
Yeah.
You're going to have more realistic depictions of what trans anatomy looks like. You're going to have more frank conversations about what this means. You're going to have better depictions of what that is, rather than, oh, I went to a weird thing and now I have a dick. Like, yeah, a lot of boys' love does not deal with trans people well if they have them at all. You know, so that's more of what I'm coming from when it comes to representation.
Yeah, so you're saying like representation, like just in general, like not in general, but in general, like how they handle that stuff. Because yes, okay, I get what you mean, because I do think that, and I don't, you know that I'm not like America, but I do think that typically we do have I don't know how to say that. Like, I do think that we typically tend to be a bit more open.
No.
Help me figure out how to say this. Like, how much?
No, we don't tend to be more open.
I think you know what I'm trying to say, but I can't. We're not. It's just different.
Yes.
It's different.
Yes.
Like, I don't know how it's different.
Yes, it is different. Yes. I will give you that. But no, we're not. No, we're not.
We're not better. Or more, like it's more of a. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I know what I'm trying to say, but I don't know
I will say I think it's more egalitarian, because again, like, we do have the social internet and these people can more readily share their stories and their experiences.
Maybe. Okay. Yes. We've been more exposed, maybe.
There we go. Exposure is a good word.
Yes.
Well,
thank you for getting me through that.
Certain people have been more exposed.
Oh, yeah. But yes.
So some people have been very exposed to that. Others have not. We're in Tangent Town. So.
I know.
Welcome to Tangent Town. Our next design in the shop. So if you're looking for a lot of that cool diversity and junk and representation, I think that webcomics are the best way to get a hold of it. And again, this is going to slightly bring us back to Tangent Town. Just as a writer, not every depiction of a character that is a certain type is going to be saintly. So there is this concern with characters that are trans, or if they're a type of queer that not everyone knows about, that they kind of have to turn them into saints because there's fear that if they're bad, it'll continue to perpetuate bad stereotypes. I know I've given Ono a lot of flack for being a predatory gay, but Aisha has swooped in and said multiple times there are people that are like that, which is true.
Yeah.
You will see human characters a lot in Western webcomics. And I say human as in, like, flawed.
They're nuanced, yeah.
Yeah, flawed but not trash.
Yeah, yeah.
Or if they are trash, you're not expected to empathize with them. Because I feel like that's another issue that a lot of BL has, is that either everyone is perfect,
or everyone
is just hot trash. And
like not even...
just irredeemable trash. Just like I think I said this on our last live, where it's like, oh, I wanted someone like Yuki Eri. Like, Yuki Eri's an abuser. Like, he's...
Yeah, you did say
like,
that.
he is an abuser. Like, and if you've listened to us 2 lives ago, you also know how I feel about calling fictional characters abusers. But, like, I said that hyperbolically.
Right.
But, like, no, you don't want that, because, like, none of those traits are good. So you will see more nuanced characters, I feel like, in a lot of webcomics, because they're writing from what they know as creators, which is usually, like, you have your group of trash friends, and you're all trash together.
Right, yeah.
So how do you find webcomics? I think I said this a few episodes ago. I personally really like going to the source. I usually keep an RSS feed or a calendar, so I know, like, what updates when. I like going to the source with my ad blocker turned off, because I know that ad revenue helps them make money. So I know I'm in advertising and I use an ad blocker. Shocking. When you write...
I mean, everyone uses an ad blocker at some point. Like, I'm a freaking YouTuber and I use an ad blocker. You don't get to put it
in quotes. You get money from YouTube. You are a YouTuber.
I mean, like, this month, like
you have still,
this month.
You have still done it.
I actually need to check my AdSense account to see if I'm gonna get a check anytime soon.
But I tend to turn off my ad blocker for those, because I want them to get that ad revenue, because it matters to them, and being able to sell ad space on their sites usually helps how they make money. There's also some great apps like Tapas and Webtoons and Lezen, right? Or Lezen?
Yeah, Lezen. I will say that Lezen, I use an iPhone. They don't have an iPhone app. They might have one for
Android,
but I'm not sure.
Okay. I will check my phone later.
Yes.
Because I have an Android phone for some reason. Here are some of our favorite BL comics before we get into other ways that we can talk about webcomics. Do you want me to go through my list and then you go through your one? Okay, so I really like The Less Than Epic Adventures of TJ and Amal. If you've never read this one, it's actually really, really cool. It's very long. It is completed, but it is very, very long. It is still available for free online, and you can basically binge it. Basically, a bro trip with some gay stuff. So I really, really like it. Shockingly heartfelt, and just a really, really fun story with some gay shit.
That's not the one that you...
No, I recommended The Hunt.
With the wings. Right?
Aviale?
That's the one. Okay, that's
so I said I like Aviale. I told you to read The Hunt, which is like werewolves and stuff.
Oh, I read the wrong one.
I mean, Aviale is not bad. That's actually my second one.
Okay.
But I said The Hunt. That's the same creator.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't read that one because I saw. How did I get that mixed up?
It's okay.
Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. So my second one is Aviale, which is done by Lucid. Aviale is based about hot birdmen. It's great. I really enjoy it. I've never wanted to cosplay as a character more in a while since reading that one. It kind of got me kicked back on wanting to cosplay a little bit more a few years ago. Still haven't cosplayed it because I don't want to do wings. I say as I'm prepping to do hawks.
It looks so cool. Like, yeah.
The anatomy is always so cool. Like, Lucid does really, really good anatomy, but I recommended The Hunt for you because there's werewolves in there. And I was like, yeah.
Okay, well, I'm gonna get to them both.
Yeah, but Lucid's actually done a few boys love comics, and I have a note in here. She does great stuff. I really like Lucid's work. And again, there's really, really good representation, and there's like an AVLA, there are trans characters, there are non-binary characters, there's a lot of queer romance, there's also a lot of hetero romance. Like, it's just a good series. It's more representative of real life, which includes trans people. So I really like AVLA. It's a hot guy that can fly. Like, what else do you want? Gamora, which is done by Apollo Pop, which is basically about a sex club. A sex club with a demon theme.
I should have started reading that one. I'm gonna read all of these.
Gamora is great. Again, Apollo Pop, been in the game forever, has a bunch of great comics. Apollo Pop is the reason why I have a hoodie that says Size Queen.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's actually pulled from an Apollo Pop character that he's wearing a hoodie that says Size Queen. I'm like, I need that in my closet. And I made it. Gamora is great. Again, mwah, chef's kiss anatomy. Starfighter, I've mentioned a few times on this podcast, which is basically Star Wars, but make it gay. And I'm really here for it. It's not exactly Star Wars as in like lightsabers and stuff, but it's a lot of like it's more space Star drama. Trek. Like, it's a lot of like space flight and space drama. And that's something also to mention about like webcomics that's really, really cool, is that they can really span a lot of dramas and genres. So in my list, there's fucking fantasy, there's what is essentially a bro trip with dicks touching, and now we're in a space opera.
Right.
Like, webcomics can kind of do it all, and because they're usually self-funded, they can just do whatever the fuck they want.
Right.
And I have Hazy London on here. Hazy London is done by Scotty, and is really, really good. That's about as normal, chill slice of life as I'm going to get. That's about as, like, normal, chill, placid slice of life as I'm going to go.
When you said placid, I thought you said flaccid, and I was like, relax. That's rude, but I guess kind of fitting.
Relax. No, it's placid as in calming. I usually just, I don't know. I've mentioned a million times that, like, it's not that I don't like slice of life or that kind of stuff. It's just that usually it's not very stimulating to me. Yeah. That wasn't for you. That was for the audience.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I was like, yeah, I know. Why are you saying that? I forget that we're talking to people.
Another recommendation off the fly that I thought of was This Is Not Fiction, which is also queer, and centers around high school students. So if that's a thing that you don't like, that's fine. They don't sex, so it should be fine. But yeah, so that's my list. There's obviously a ton more. I tried to keep it to the ones that are like exclusively boys love. I read a bunch that have like a gay in the corner somewhere.
Right.
Like there's some gay shit happening off screen, but I tried to keep it to the ones that like I know are like canonically boys love.
Right. Yeah,
so,
that's fair.
Would you like to go over?
Sure. So, okay, I only listed one, but I listed this one because it's one of the only webcomics that it's a BL webcomic that I've finished all the way through. Like, it's complete. Unfortunately, I don't think it's available anymore. Like, I looked on Tapas, it's not there anymore. It's not even coming up in a search. I looked on Lezen, it's not there. And also, I don't think I looked on Webtoon, but I don't think it's there either. It's called Fools, and the author's name is Yonga. And, okay, so it follows these two college students. There's one who is a college freshman and the other who is like a year or so older. But they're in college together. The college freshman is gay and relatively open, like as open as a young Korean man can be in Korea. You know, I mean, if you know anything about being gay there, I mean, obviously I don't know that much, but I've watched videos because I'm a weirdo who watches those kinds of videos. Anyway, he's openly gay, and he just got out of a relationship with an older guy, which there is conversation about that and like power dynamics and stuff like that. It's very interesting. But anyway, he ends up befriending his sunbae, or kind of like a senpai. What is that? What is that in English?
Upperclassman?
Classmate? Upperclassman. Yes, upperclassman. And they become friends, and you find out that the upperclassman is sort of, I say that he's bi. Like, to me, he is bi, or pan, but he's definitely, like, he has dated girls, but he's also interested in guys. And so it's their relationship, and it's kind of slice of lifey, college, life. It's right up my alley. I very much enjoy it. There is some drama, but it's not so much drama that it's annoying. Because you know how, like, you can read a story that has drama where just the most contrived reasons come up to keep the characters apart. That doesn't happen so much in this. There is a point when the ex-girlfriend does come into play, but it's resolved very maturely and quickly. So overall, it's a very nice, calming, sweet read. If you like sweet things like I do, you'll enjoy it. It is, like I said, it is a manhwa. And manhwa, like, webcomics tend to have a certain aesthetic that I really like. Like, I can generally tell you when a webcomic is drawn by a Korean author.
I think most people can, like, it's a,
yeah.
If you think like yaoi, like, if you think like 90s yaoi has like an aesthetic where everyone looks the same.
Mm-hmm. Manhwa.
So especially like running the Yaoi Shelf Twitter feed, I see a lot of manhwa scans.
Mm-hmm. And they all,
could tell, if you told me that these were all the same series, I would have been like, sure.
Yeah.
I would have been like, okay.
Very much, yes. There's 100% an aesthetic. And I read a lot of, like, a lot of the other webcomics that I read are Korean. And, yeah, like, no matter the genre or the demographic, they all have a very similar look to them.
Right. And, like, so I don't think that's bad. Like, that's not, like, a drag or anything.
Yeah,
but it's just
we're not saying that's bad, but it's just it's a thing.
Yeah, it's very, it's absolutely a thing.
Yeah, so if you like that aesthetic, but the thing is, like I said, fools I'm going to keep looking to see if maybe I can find it somewhere, legally in order to support the artist. And we'll put links or whatever, but I can't find it. But I did want to mention, you were talking about Western comics. There is actually, and I don't know how I forgot about this, but there's a webcomic. I think I forgot about it because I kind of fell off from it, because I haven't really been reading webcomics as much lately. But there is a Western one called Jamie. Let me see. Hold on. I should have looked this up, but it just like popped into my head. The authors' names are NDGO, so Indigo, and Tammy, I think. But it's a Western one, and it's about a boy named Jamie who, I think he's in high school, and it's kind of like that school slice of life, gay stuff, and it's cute. Like, I hadn't finished it, and I don't even think it's complete, but it is one that I do want to get back into because I thought it was really sweet and cute. It's not explicit, but it does explore, like, sexuality and high school life. And if you're uncomfortable, like, I personally don't mind when high schoolers are exploring their sexuality, but I just don't want to see it, if that makes sense. We just talked about if that makes sense, but yeah, I don't want to see it on paper, but I'm fine with them exploring it and questioning, and so this gives you that. And there are different representations for different types of queer people. So you do have gay, you do have, I think his sister is bisexual, which I'm a sucker for bi representation because we don't see it enough. At least positive bi representation, I should say. So there's one, and then one more Korean one that I did want to mention that I also just remembered, because I am trash. But Mr. A and Mr. B. This one is by, I think it's Migab, Migab, and it is a slice. It's another slice of life because I'm basic, and it's an office room. Oh my gosh! Ugh. One of the guys is an office worker. One of the other guys is, or the other guy is, a college student. But their age difference is not that big. Like it's not like the office worker is 35. Like it's just a couple of years difference. But they have very different lifestyles, and it's really fun to see them interact with each other. The office guy is very shy and kind of serious in a way, and the college student is a college student, and it's them working together. I wasn't going to mention it, I think, because I haven't finished it. I am always hesitant to mention things that I haven't finished, because I never know, like, if something quote unquote problematic might pop up. But from where I stopped, I didn't see anything that anybody would be triggered by. But I do want to pick it back up. But yeah, those are the ones that I would say. And as far as representation goes, I mean, the Western one absolutely is going to give you a more wide array of types of people and relationships.
Mm-hmm.
The Korean ones, the representation is
spot
I'm
on.
not going to say it's bad.
Let's talk about how you can support webcomic artists. This is also coming from your two hosts who have openly mentioned that some of us have a little bit of angst with some of the ways that creators have asked for support.
Oh, wait, who, me?
Both of us have, you idiot. With, like, Patreon and shit. Both of us.
Oh, yeah. I was like, what are you... Yeah, because I have a hard time.
We'll
I don't
get there.
like to act...
It's at the bottom of the list.
Yeah.
It's at the bottom of the list. But, buy merch.
Okay.
Just buy shit.
Yeah.
As often as you can. Like, that's one of the biggest things that I try to do. Back when we had conventions, thousands of years ago. 1,000 years ago when we had conventions. There's some comic artists that I know live in Texas, so they're usually at the Texas conventions, and I hunt them down.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know where their booth is, and so on my wall in my bedroom, in my Pink Nightmare bedroom, there's like 3 prints from 3 consecutive years from one comic artist. Wow. So every year I find her and I buy a print and she signs it for me. Every single year.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so I have all 3 of those. I think so. Yeah, starting in 2016. So 2016, 2017. I have I at least have 2017 through 2019. I probably would have had 2020 this year, but conventions don't exist.
I mean, what are conventions?
Right.
What are they?
So
we don't know what they are.
Buy merch. Most of these comics have shops, even if it's just to sell the books, because some of them will print books, and it's actually quite fun. So just buy merch. Visit the site without ad blockers. I mentioned that earlier, because they do usually rely on a lot of their ad revenue. But also, real talk, and this also applies to this lovely podcast, it costs $0 to retweet.
I'm so glad you... Yes. Share.
Yeah.
Sharing is caring.
Yes.
And free.
Yes.
It's absolutely free.
Yes.
Like, that is... For me personally, like, I mean, okay, yes, buy merch, absolutely, because like money pays bill. Like retweeting doesn't pay the bills, but it does it can bring eyes to people who maybe do have the funds.
Exactly.
Like, so if you can't afford to give however much money, when you retweet, maybe one of your followers or a friend or whoever does have the money to just throw at people. And that's like, it's a word of mouth thing.
Or I wouldn't even approach it like in a one-to-one transaction that way. It just builds fan base. So like, there's webcomics that I interact with a lot. Like, I will comment, I will share, I will like I engage in those dialogues a lot. I get excited about things because then if some of my fans or friends or mutuals look at it, oh, this is a thing that Amanda's into. Maybe I will also be into it. So I don't always think about it as a one-to-one transaction. It's more of just, this is the thing I'm excited about, and I hope that other people see it. So
yes.
It costs exactly $0 to retweet. Do it. If you're into it, share it, and that helps creators so much. And that's why I say, like, the same thing goes for us. It costs $0 to like and to share and to retweet, and that can really open up a world of possibilities for creators of all kinds online. Recommendations also act in the same way. So talk to your friends when they'll listen to you and will follow through with your recommendations. Cough, Aisha. Got to use that debate skill of talking very quickly for good use. But like, share. Like, I know this isn't a gay comic, but Undivine is a comic that I've been reading for a little while. And I was sharing it with one of my friends, and we just started talking about it, and he's like, this sounds really cool. It's like, yeah, you should read it. Now he's reading it. So that's one other person that I brought into the fold just by like, I think you should read this thing because I'm reading it and I think it's cool. So be open with your recommendations, and like, I think that especially it's easier to have webcomics because they do tend to be a little bit easier to digest. Even if they're fanciful, they usually tend to be a little bit easier to digest.
Well, and they're a little short. Like, okay, so the thing with webcomics, especially as someone who, I mean, I know you read manga also, but like, as you know, I have like, since I've built this whole like thing around manga, like, it's when I recommend manga to people, especially like people outside of people who don't care about my internet stuff, people in my real life, you know, like, manga is a little hard because, for one, the cost can be a deterrent for some people. And having to read something like in a different direction than what they're used to can also be daunting for some people. Webcomics are very easily accessible, as you know, like, you just go online. Everyone has, not everyone, most people most people have a phone and have access to apps or, you know, the internet or whatever. And then the way webcomics are formatted, you read them, even if they are like Korean, which Korean manhwa also is read similarly to how we read. But that's, anyways, but comics, you know, typically you read them the same way that we read them here in the West, you know, from what, left to right. I have to think about it. Yeah, left to right. And so you don't have to learn how to read webcomics. If you read it on an app, or I guess also if you read it on their website, more often than not, there isn't a paywall. For the most part. Like, now if you do read it on like Tapas or Webtoons, you might have to buy coins to unlock certain ones or just unlock certain episodes. But even then, it's not really a huge investment. And so I do think that it's easier to recommend webcomics because of all of those things as well. Like, it's just easier to access and easier to digest, like you were saying. So I don't know. I really like webcomics. Whenever you're out and about, if you're no one travels in 20. Who travels in 2020?
Out and about where?
Who's out and about? But back in the day when I used to be out and about, I loved webcomics because I could just get on there and read while I'm waiting. You know what? I read them while I'm at the dentist, because right now the dentist is like the only place that I get out to go to.
I tend not to read mine in public only because a lot of mine are either smutty or adult.
Oh, okay.
And it's like,
that's fair.
Oh, I mean, I usually don't care, TBH. Like, I I have read full-on smut while on the bus, mostly because... So this is a problem usually unique to biological females, is that if you are on public transit and a man is sitting next to you, he will try to read what you're reading.
Yeah, that's so goddamn true.
And it's usually not from any like actual interest in what you're reading. It's usually
they just want to be nosy.
Yeah, it's usually just them being nosy / trying to hit on you. So I will read the most like explosive porn I can find just so I can watch their eyes widen when it's like, and his virgin hole willfully accepted 2 massive penises, and just watch, especially these older black men, just eyes this big, like, and then back off.
I started doing that.
It is the best deterrent. It is an excellent deterrent.
I hadn't figured that out yet, because I'd be, yeah, I need to.
It is a fantastic deterrent. That and headphones.
Oh my gosh.
Headphones.
I'm just gonna have like
headphones and read smutty fan fiction. Men leave you alone.
Yes. I mean, for me, it's just don't have boobs and men will leave you alone, which is fine because I don't like them anyway. So.
Well, I can't get rid of mine yet, so, and I don't want to.
I mean, I would take some.
So the rest on that list, ratings. I know back in the day, like ratings did matter. For some comics, and I think a couple of apps still use like a pseudo rating system. I think like commission them if you want. Commissions can be expensive, but there is nothing quite like, especially if you have an artist that you really like their art style, commission them. And again, like depending on who the artist is, how famous they are, commissions can be really, really pricey. But if you want to talk about supporting artists, and then you get a cool thing that you really, really like. The same thing also can go sometimes for like I know like fic writers will take commissions for stuff. Just if you really like them and you have that money to support them, commission them. Last on this list is Patreon. A lot of them do have Patreons. Both of us have said openly that we have mixed feelings about Patreon. So yeah, I'm going to give you my substitute for Patreon.
Okay.
I like Kickstarter and I like Gumroad.
I've never heard of Gumroad.
So Gumroad usually allows like creators to post like files and stuff like that, and you like can offer a fair price. So they say like the suggested is $5, and you can give more or less, or like they'll set a minimum, and it lets you own that file. It's basically like a digital shop, but it's easier to host like files and stuff like that.
Okay.
What I'm getting at is I like transactions. So I don't like Patreon because I'm not crazy about funding a lifestyle, which is why I don't have any angst about us asking for money, because we're not, no one's funding a lifestyle. It's the maintenance and time and energy we put into the podcast rather than a Patreon, which is help me not have a job.
Okay. You saying that clarifies so much, because you already know. Yeah. Like, we've had this conversation. I am so uncomfortable with that, because I've talked about this. Like, I won't go too deep into it, but because I'm in a situation where I am comfortable. Like, I don't actually need more money. More money is nice, but like I don't need it for my lifestyle. But it is nice to have something coming in that I can put toward like equipment, for example, specifically for the podcast, or like hell, we're using StreamYard right now, and it would be cool to like
offset that cost. Yeah.
Right. Because it's something that I use specifically for this thing that we do, you know, and also MommaLuvsManga.
That's it. Like, no, you don't use it specifically for us. I've seen you use it.
I mean, I use it
like,
for
excuse me.
all of my.
Like, excuse me. No, you do not.
MommaLuvsManga as well, but like, it would be nice to have like to not have to worry. Like, not that I'm worried about it, but you know what I mean. Like, it would be cool to have money coming in that I can put back into this this internet stuff that I do specifically. But I don't want people to feel like they're having to pay for my like mortgage. Like, no, I can pay my own mortgage bill.
Right. And I say this with zero judgment to the artists and creators who do. Because like that's just angst that I have. Like, I know, actually, like...
Same.
That's just angst that I have. Like, zero judgment. I think it's a great idea, but that's just angst that I have. Like, I couldn't imagine...
We're in the same...
I couldn't imagine, like, quitting my day job and, like, becoming a traveling panelist or something. Like,
we are in the same
Yeah, like, I couldn't... Like, as much as I love doing this podcast, I cannot imagine quitting my day job and, like, making this my job. I would murder Aisha.
Like, I mean, Matt has made comments about, like, oh, maybe you'll make more money than I do doing the, you know, and I can, he's like, and I can say, oh,
ma'am.
Oh, I just knocked down my phone. Anyway, let me re-say that, because I'm going to cut that part out. So, Matt has made comments about, like, oh, maybe you'll make more money doing your internet stuff, and then I can stay home, and I'm just like,
nope.
Absolutely not. Yeah. You have a stable job that even in a pandemic,
you still get to work.
You're still getting to work and still getting a check. Absolutely not. I do not want this to be the thing that I rely on as to pay my bills.
Yeah, so we both expressed some angst with Patreon, but like that's one of the reasons why like I like Kickstarter so much is that like if a volume of like a physical book is coming out, Kickstarter. So that way if that goal isn't met, I get my money back. But if it is, cool, I get this thing and I get to tangibly support a creator that I like.
Yes. I have supported many heck, I've supported my friend Jackie from Adorned by Chi, the owner of Adorned by Chi. When she I remember when she first said that she wanted to even do her story, like I was like, yes girl, do it because I want to review it, and she was just like, I'll just send it to you. Guess who was one of the first people to back her Kickstarter? Me. Because I was like, I want to support, like this is how I have the money, let me give it to you. And you know, and like that's people who have disposable income, let them do it. And that's something that I'm struggling with, because I understand that there are people out there like me who like to give money to people for cool things, but I have a hard time accepting that back. Like I can give it, but it's hard for me to take it.
So I don't mind.
That sounds bad.
It's never been hard.
I love to take it. That's wrong. Like that's a lie. I love to take it.
But it's like, even like if you look at me, I have merch. I have one tip jar that I very, very rarely use. And for the most part, that's about it. Is if you're going to give me money, I want you to be getting something out of it. Not to say that you don't get something out of like my personality or like something like that, but like, and same for this podcast. It is much more meaningful to me to receive money as a sponsorship, as in we can put that money back into the podcast, whether that's into a domain, whether that's into better equipment, a camera that doesn't autofocus as horribly for Aisha, or more ring lights for me. All the ring lights. So many ring lights.
That shade, I caught it.
You don't like it. You complain every time.
I do.
Like, it's not shade if it's just true. It's not shade if it's something that you just genuinely complain about. And I can get more ring lights so I look even more like a fucking cherub.
But it's so cute. You always look so cute, and I just like freaking love your cheeks.
It's called being hot.
Like, it's the cheeks. It's the cheeks for me.
It's called being hot and laughing.
It's the cheeks for me.
So that's how.
They're so pink.
That's how I circumvent a lot of that angst is transactions. So I love Kickstarter. I just I pre-ordered a fanzine of a pairing that I really, really like. So like I rather get something out of it. And again, not to say like the comic isn't getting something out of it, but I don't want to be bankrolling your mortgage. Creator. Just me personally. I have no issue contributing to that mortgage, but I want something more tangible out of it. So that's a few ways that you can support your webcomic artists. Turn off your ad blockers, and just, if you can't physically afford it, just being there openly. Yes.
I did want to mention on a lot of like the apps like Webtoon and Tapas, and I think also Lezen. Another way is to buy coins, because like a lot of the time, like you can wait for the episode to be free, but you can also buy, like I know Webtoon has the Fast Pass, which I consistently use because I don't want to wait. Like, if I have the money to throw at you, I'm gonna use it. So like that is I know that they do get a cut of the coins. So in all those apps, I'm pretty sure. Well, Tapas and Webtoons, I'm sure. Lezen, I'm not 100%.
We can research it more.
We can research it some more, but I'm pretty sure that the artists get a cut of the coins that you use to unlock episodes. So if that's if you have a disposable income, you know, buy the coins to unlock episodes early or whatever, and that is another way to help support. So yeah, I wanted to mention that.
Okay.
Also, coffee. Is it coffee?
It's pronounced coffee.
Okay. Some people, I think some artists use that as well.
That's a virtual tip jar. I use that. I don't like it because I don't always feel like I have something tangible to offer. It's outside of like a thank you.
Oh, it's just a tip. Yeah.
But that's what.
But I mean, tips are. When I was a cosmetologist, when I worked, I mean, I liked tips.
But again, like you were providing something tangible.
That is true.
Like what am like if I'm like shaking out my little tip cup, like what am I offering that's tangible?
Yeah, but I also think, and I think we both have this issue. I'm realizing this. We both have this issue of not understanding the value of what we do.
No,
because we say, like, because I feel like, because I know I struggle with this. Like, yeah, okay, like people get something. I have people all the time. They're like, oh, I love your channel. It's so entertaining, and I'm like, you're not like. I still wouldn't ask people for money for that because to me, I'm just like, what are you getting out of this?
I'm gonna get real. So I'm gonna get real about economics for a second. It actually, it's not that I don't understand the worth of my stuff because I do. It's more of, here's another reason why I don't like Patreon is that Patreon also usually creates a bit of a false scarcity. So like, oh, without your support, I would. Do you remember like back in the day with PBS? Where like when PBS would do their drives and it's like, if you don't get your parents to get their fucking checkbook, we're going to shoot Big Bird in an alley. Right. Do you remember those ads?
I do.
We're going to curb stomp on fucking Elmo if you don't get your fucking parents and have them give us $50,000 right now. Like, I feel like Patreon does that a lot where it's like, without your support, I would have to go back to work and I wouldn't be able to do this comic full time. Girl, bye. Do you know how many people are working full time and are still doing their art and their hustle? Like, you're privileged.
Very true.
So for me, I don't really like that kind of stuff, even the tip jar, because it's like, I would be doing this without your money.
Okay, yeah, I can,
Like, your money is nice. Thank you. I'm appreciative of it. I'm never going to say that I'm not, but like, I would not fucking be a cock tease and be like, oh, the next post will come out
I'm going to stop if you don't.
You know, the next post will come out a little bit faster if you guys contribute to my fund.
You know what? That is so real because I feel the same way. I'm just like, I'm going to do this anyway.
Right. Like,
So why?
Like, don't give,
why
like,
would, yeah.
And so, like, that's why like, I have less angst as somebody for the podcast because exactly as you said, then we can reinvest that into things that are tangible.
Right.
But, like, don't just throw money at me. I want to at least be, like, doing something for that.
Yeah.
Like,
that
shit.
Is fair. That,
like, like, I got real about, like, economics for a second there, but, like, that's something that bothers me about, like, Patreon sometimes. It's like, oh, you know, without you, I'd have to go back to my full-time job.
And it's like, girl go back to your
job.
Girl,
bye. Like, do you know how many people are still working full-time jobs and are still creating and are not making any money? You know, this hoe right here.
I think I'm a patron of 3. Is it 3? I think it's 3. Like, I have a certain amount of money that, like, I keep in my head that I'm okay with spending a month on, you know, entertainment. Like, well, on Patreon. And so I think it's 3 people, and it's like different, it's various amounts, but so I do I like having the option of supporting people, but these are the people that I support, like real talk, they're doing things that I consider to be worth giving them my money for, you know? And I guess that's what it comes down to is like, if you think it's worth giving your money to them, if you really like whatever it is they're doing and you want to support
then
them,
do it. No one's telling you no.
Yeah, no one's saying that you can't or shouldn't. Like, if you want to, there are so many ways to support.
Right.
Like we've already said, there are free ways to support.
But that was fun.
Yeah. Did we do everything? Did we talk about everything?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's been 2 hours, woman.
I mean, 2 hours is so much less than what we usually do.
That's not good. That's not a positive.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed with it, okay? Look at us.
Still have freelance
Look
work
at
to do
us
after
doing
this.
it.
So where can they find us?
Well, they can find us as a unit on Twitter.
No, don't ever refer to us as a unit.
Whatever, we're married. So you can find us as a unit on Twitter at... Wait, what is our Twitter?
It's the Yaoi Shelf. The is just Yaoi Shelf, but if you type the Yaoi Shelf, it'll still come up because of SEO.
Then we'll pop up, yes. You can also find us, of course, like we said, on Anchor. You can find us on YouTube as a unit, because we're married. You can find us as individuals. You can find me at MommaLuvsManga pretty much everywhere except for OnlyFans. But one of these days it's gonna happen. Y'all are gonna find me on OnlyFans, showing my little mosquito bites for some
catfishing
coins.
men with my boobs.
I don't even need coins. But if I ever start an OnlyFans, all the proceeds will go to this podcast. It may be a charity of my choice.
If it's going to charity, you can have my boobs. That's fine. Only if it's going to charity.
Okay.
You can find me individually at AichiYume in most places. Where I also do not have an OnlyFans.
But one day.
And you can tangibly support this podcast by either buying merch, which is available at the Yaoi Shelf. Yeah, Aisha's wearing her shirt.
I am always...
Are you wearing pants?
Listen. No, of course. I'm not wearing pants.
I mean, it's a very long tee. It's a dress. Yeah.
It's basically a dress. Look at it. Look how cute.
She cute.
Look how cute. I also have a mask. I wore it to the dentist like a couple weeks ago, and they were like, "Oh," because they're always curious about what masks I'm gonna be wearing, and they're like, "Oh, what does that one say?" And I was just like, "It just says the Yaoi Shelf." So I was like, "Oh, it's a podcast that I have. We talk about Japanese comics." That's all they know.
I hate how pretentious that makes you sound on dates, where it's like, "Oh, I host a podcast or two."
I host a podcast.
It's like the white man equivalent to, "Would you like to see my short film?"
I mean, basically, but I mean, it is what it is.
I take zero Schadenfreude in it, where it's like, I host a podcast. You're still a podcast. So that's where you can find us and how you can support us. Next episode, are we still doing this topic, or are we doing something else?
What was it that we were thinking about?
We were thinking about doing a fan works one, but we can do that after this one.
Let's go ahead and do the one that we were talking about.
We're talking about censorship.
Yeah. I think censorship would be a good one to follow up.
Cool. Because that's actually...
And then we can do the fan works.
That's actually a cool thing about webcomics, is because they usually don't have to censor themselves. Because they have their own...
Well...
They usually don't.
If they do it on their own website. Because sometimes like on Tapas... Sometimes they're censored.
Okay, well, but that's... Yeah, but like if you're going to the source, they don't do shit.
Yeah, if you're going to the source...
And I usually go to the source. Like full disclosure, I don't usually do like tapas or anything. I just go to the source. So like I get to see all the dicks I want.
Right. Yeah, which is fair. Absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah, so next month we'll be talking about censorship.
That's going to be fun.
That is going to be fun. So thank you for listening. See you guys next month.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
You have that enslaved white man downstairs.
Amanda's advocating for your emancipation. Thank you.
Are you in trouble?
Oh, look at the. Okay, these biscuits look a little frail. Why does this biscuit look?
Is that
like
a Grand?
this?
Are you eating Grand's biscuits out of the can?
We use Hello Fresh, so whatever came with Hello Fresh. That looks like
Sounds like a Grand's biscuit.
That's an anemic biscuit.
That's a Yankee biscuit.
That is an anemic biscuit. What the fuck?
That's a scone.
Biscuit. This chicken looks good though.
That's a goddamn scone, ma'am. You are.
The chicken looks good.
Yes.
It's good.
So for our listeners who are audio only, Aisha has gotten a full ass plate.
This is well seasoned.
Good.
Thank you, babe. This is delicious.
You have enslaved this white man.
And he threw down on this chicken.
Doesn't it come with all the seasonings?
I'm gonna put it down. I'm not gonna eat during the recording.
You already have.
Oh my god, that was so good. Okay, I'm done. I'm done with Tangent Land. I'm so sorry.
Okay. So